So today we have an interesting and exciting artist with us, Mr. Dushyanth Weeraman. So how are you feeling, Mr. Dushyanth?
Good. I'm feeling good now. We're having a coffee, black coffee, and him later.
All right. So getting into what we want to, discuss about in this podcast is all about personal branding, how we are supposed to be unique and different in the society to stand out from the rest. So I think the best example is here right with us to share his own experiences and how he takes this on as per his personal branding.
Good.
Yes. So I want to ask your take on personal branding. Like, you are a singer, actor, dancer. In different ways, you have put out yourself very well to be unique. So with regards to personal branding, I want to know your take on leadership along with that.
Okay, so personal branding is one, and leadership is another whole topic, right? But I think what I'm trying to say here is how important is personal branding to be a leader,
That's it.
or are you looking at how a leader has...
Can inculcate person
Yeah.
resiliency.
Yeah. So I think first I'd like to touch on personal branding. I think personal branding is something that's important in the commercial world, right? If you are trying to sell a skill or the certain professionalism that you have to another for identifying yourself and to be creating awareness of yourself, your brand has to be out there. So that is basically the simplest breakdown or the importance of personal branding. So then comes the other part we asked, leadership. So leadership is a very, very simply understood, simple thing that anybody talks about. But I don't necessarily believe that people understand what is to be a leader, how to be a leader, and how to sustain as a leader, and what responsibilities are of the leader, right? So, I mean, everybody loves to be a leader because, you see the perks on that. But I think necessarily leadership is a much bigger responsibility, and it's a much harder job than just being skillful or being a professional on certain things. So ideally, I would like to speak about these things separately. But to be a good leader, you don't need a personal brand, right? Because the responsibility of a leader, or rather a leader is a person who has to be very responsible, right? That's what doesn't come these days. Everybody wants to be a leader, and the responsibilities are not there. But the thing is, of how to be a leader, they know. Hook or crook, you become a leader. So personal branding is important to become a leader, but not necessarily the leader has become because of the stuff that we're talking about. But then coming to see, let's go to the lowest level from the primary prefects to the junior prefect, and I'm talking about the leadership that we have experienced, right? Then the school monitors or class monitors and things like that, and then that to be a captain of a sport, and then to be a senior prefect, and you go into your corporate world, maybe you're going to university, you're in a leading society or things like that. You're in associations and clubs and societies, something like that. And then you get into your corporate world and you're in a team, you're a team leader, things like that. Haven't you noticed there's always some sort of politics from the time of the junior prefect, right? From the school teacher picking those students, there's always been politics, right? So no matter how much we talk about this leadership qualities, all of those things that one should have to be a good leader, to be a responsible leader, the politics seems to be overriding that at all times, right? So I think that truth has to be always addressed, right? And then I will also come back to the brand.
Yeah.
The brand that you are trying to create, a personal brand, one could be completely useless in their skill, right?
Yeah.
But their brand gets then, you know, their work. So I think it's definitely leadership and personal brand goes hand in hand because of this, but it's only a matter of how we understand what is the right way of getting there in a real world.
Yeah. So with that, I want to talk about now. We were talking about this general aspect and the take on that from your end.
Yes.
So so your work has been known for breaking norms and odds. So which I would ideally say a person to stand unique or stand out from the rest, it is a great matter. So in that context, like, how have your experiences molded you to be who you are today? Like, I would not take it as simply as a person who is leading a certain band or as a certain set of members along with you, but as ideally a person. Like, how it has molded you to be Dushyanth Weeraman.
Okay, nice question. Thank you for the compliment. But ultimately, I'll be very honest, it is not something I did it consciously. Like, I never thought to myself, oh, I'm going to be Dushyanth Weeraman, known as Dushyanth Weeraman. It's only others who told me, hey, you got to do something to be yourself. It's others who told. Not necessarily I ever took that to consideration. I always thought I wanted to be like Michael Jackson. I wanted to be a copy, And so I cannot take that compliment necessarily, right? But the truth is, thank you, but I never thought about it. And the reality is, there was a certain point, I thought, I've got to do things that which I'm passionate about. Right? So, my passion comes, obviously, like anybody else, it's to our surroundings and our circumstance, right?
Yeah.
Where you are influences you to become who you are. And it's the choice that you make that makes you later on. So you could be in the worst situation or you could be in the amazing situation, right? It's the choice that you make out of that creates you, right? And if you can find a passion that it's, you find that passion and you go through it, then you find yourself, right? So, in terms of my music, I always thought, I don't know what to do. All I wanted to do was to be on stage and to perform. So I can show up and enjoy that glory, that fame, that fortune, not really fame and fortune, but that glory of being on stage and being loved. That's all.
Thanks.
I grew up seeing Michael Jackson doing that, and I understood how much of love I had for him, and how much of the love that the world had for him, and how much love he had for the rest of the world, right? For his fans. And I thought this is amazing, and I thought this is, Jesus talks about love, all religion, philosophy, we all talk about, this love and all that. But this is like the ultimate thing. This is what my passion was. So I started singing, long story short, everyone is like, the guy who does Michael Jackson, right? Yeah, over the world. I am Michael Jackson, I'm the local Michael Jackson. That was, and then so many people can, so what now? What are you going to do? Dushyanth, you need to be Dushyanth Weeraman, not. In my head, I was like, dude, don't want to be Dushyanth Weeraman. Okay. So then I started doing music because of, again, the environmental or the circumstance and the peer pressure and all that. I think, okay. Do music. I didn't know what to do. I knew I was passionate about it, right? I didn't know original. Boom, it went out. I was on stage. They're like, oh, come and bring my stuff, right? And I remember in Kolkata, performing at the South Asian Superstars, right? Anna singers. And after Anna singers, they're like, man, you're like Michael Jackson. Okay, come on, man. This is my original. And I was like bare-bodied, dressed up like a prince, doing Anna singers, singing these, and they're still like, oh, Michael Jackson. And everybody was still, but I was getting the thrills as a performer, right? But still, I was the Michael Jackson. And then I did Barcelona. They're like, oh, and that's just a unique song. For the first time, they're like, this is so unique, and they did not see. And so this song, they went on, and I just went on doing what I was passionate about, right? Never thought about being unique or different, right? And then came about these heartbreak songs, Martha K. Hastler, that the found into that Michael Jackson. Then came a Bhangra song, then the Lumwiget, and nothing like that. And then slowly go Malas to the Omarilata, and then got into films, things like that. But the secret was, which I never knew or realized, I was just doing things which I was passionate about.
Exactly.
Right? And that created the Shampoo.
I think that's the essence.
That's the essence. So I think if you want to be, there's no formula. And the only formula I will say is, be passionate. Do what you love. But of course, don't get to the mindset of, I'm going to do something to create my brand. Because if you, in my opinion, if you try something too hard, it might not happen.
Yeah.
Right? It's too stress and all that weird. But when you're passionate, you just have to just immerse yourself into it. And then let it happen.
It happens effortlessly, I would say.
Yeah.
Like for you, actually. It was not effortlessly, but then again,
a lot of effort.
Yeah, there was a lot of effort, but then again, passion stand out.
Passion. A lot. When you have passion, then you have so much energy.
Yeah.
The time is not a factor. And so many things that stop you doesn't become factors, because then you become the energy. You are the forehand, and then suddenly, and then you see beyond. And then suddenly, you see this third perception, like, oh, this is what I'm doing. Fantastic, And then after 10 years, people are like, oh, that's Dushyanth Weeraman. Oh, he's that, this. And then people have actually asked me so many times, so many interviews, what are you? Are you a singer, a dancer? This is a choreographer, about all that. Right? It's all what you think of me in person is me. I'm not but. So it's no formula. Just go for the passion.
It's really nice, I think, I don't know, finally what I understood as well is you don't need to particularly think from your head, okay, you're going to build this brand, this is going to be you at the end of the day. No, once you do what you love, ultimately the way the others see you, the way you carry yourself is actually who you are.
But of course, like I said, if you are having a different approach to life, my approach to life is be happy as, find joy in a little day like it's a brand new day, it's a super day, right?
Yeah.
But now that is not necessarily the corporate world that you are in.
Yeah.
As an artist, I can be that. My life is a little bit more free, and I'm not concerned about to be on top.
Yeah.
I got my opportunities, I enjoyed it. At the same time, I saw the dark side. Okay, so I have a very different understanding, right?
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily in the rat race that most people are in, right? So my personal brand has not built according to that. So while saying this, I might not be the right advice in terms of people who are in that race who wants to have personal branding and leaders, right? So they might have a complete different thing, a different agenda, right? Where they go, oh, this is got to do, and this is the formula, and you have to be concentrating, you have to figure out all of those things, and then build yourself. I think you become a lost soul after, right? So I'm not the best person to advise you on that. I just have a different take to it. So yeah, let's not go into that.
Yeah. All right, sure. So would you love to, share one of your experiences down the line of since you were telling about your journey so far? I was quite interested to know a little bit about maybe one experience that actually made you think about what you want to do in your life, like a certain experience. Maybe you said it obviously may be as per the surrounding where we are, but then again, like a certain experience that maybe a turning point in your life that made you realize, okay, this is at the end of the day, this is what I love to do, or else this is not supposedly this is what I should be. But then again, I need to think about this. Maybe, this is something that's going to make me happy at the end of the day, if you bring that happy element. So I want to just know, if you can share us with an experience, maybe a complete turnover or a turning point in your lives that you would love to share with your audience.
Okay, so I'll give you two instances that will give you two different stories, two turning points. So I was working at diesel motor engineering at the Mercedes-Benz department, selling beautiful cars and having a wonderful job, a very interesting job. You're always moving with the trim of Sri Lanka. You got involved about patterns and dinners and all these start golf tournaments, meeting all people in who have done race very, very nice, very successful in height, right? But I was just doing my music on the side and then got into dancing stars, and I saw myself, I can, win this, but I need to win this in class. So I took a decision to quit working at Mercedes, and I won dancing stars, became very popular. I was enjoying that. So when I was making the decision to quit Mercedes, I was making a lot of money. A lot of money in the millions, right? It's not done, right? For a kid.
Yeah.
In early 20s kid, it's a lot.
Exactly.
And that's a lot to think. How am I going to not do this job anymore?
Yeah.
Right? And
focus on something
something that doesn't make much money.
Yeah.
Right? And it was tough. But it's that was a point again. This makes me happy. I'm going to become not just a salesman. I'm going to become me. I'm going to live the dream as what I had as my childhood, to become Michael Jackson. I'm going to make a life of this. But that's the time. That's a huge turning point where the realization came, I'm not going to be behind the desk. I'm going behind pitch people to sell their fancy car. Right? And I'm very glad for it. And then success was there. I mean, for me, I think if there's anybody who is, blessing me, they are definitely doing it.
Great job.
And thank you. I have a lot of gratitude for, all what has happened to my life. But then I came to a point where it was very successful. I really missed the fame and the popular whole thing. But it came to a point where I was also feeling a little distant from the rest. Right? And there was a lot of competition suddenly coming up. All the big players in the game were like, doing undercutting. Being the politics started.
Yeah.
Then I was depressed. And then there was a night, and this is the second point, there was a night that I had gone out of Colombo. I think this is Mahabharata. First time I've heard of that place. Long way from Colombo. We performed for about 45,000 people, and that is a lot. Now there are bigger shows, like, we get hundreds of thousand hours. But at the time, 45 hours was huge. Then the concept was unbelievable. The energy was amazing. The experience so much. But as I had come home, I felt very lonely, and like I had nobody to share this with, because the point of your top has made you become somewhat lonely, because I was a solo performer. Right? Yes. People sometimes, who are in bands might not understand what you say, right? They were like, okay, at least they're coming back home, they're talking about it, blah, 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 all that. And then I also do come from a very show business family, but where we are all competing for this spot. Right?
Yes.
So there was a bit of that also. I don't want to go into that.
Yeah.
But there was a bit of, for me to not be able to share the joy I had, or it became a very, very lonely cult, right? So from that, making a decision, going up the ladder and feeling all that, and suddenly thinking, And I don't think so. Personal branding is huge. Leadership, oh man, I'm right on top. I'm making the shot, I'm making the calls, And then suddenly it become very, very ethnic and a lonely area. So that was a turning point. And that's when I thought, okay, there's another world. There's politics and all of those things. That's when I thought, okay, I need to do things different. So that's when I started the band and leadership and all of that. Personal brand, and now a brand of a band.
Yeah.
Leadership, all of those things made a lot of sense to me at that time. Because once you are an artist and you get into a band, now this personal brand is there, and the band's brand is there, that I really had to understand, and I had to make others also understand how we can go about it. And this became a huge, that's something we can completely talk about another.
Yeah, you're slowly getting into the next question that I was going to ask. Because,
So, and then came, obviously I had to be the leader. But then again, do I lead? How do I lead? It's a huge responsibility, right? How do I not dilute the Dushyanth Weeraman and create Kurumba?
Yeah.
How do I let the Kurumba band members feel that, they are not overshadowed by the Dushyanth Weeraman?
Exactly.
But if you drop the Dushyanth Weeraman, will the market want Kurumba? So there's a whole nice dilemma there. I would say it's nice because I learned a lot.
Yeah.
So personal brand and the brands, personal branding and leadership became a big learning point.
Right, that's awesome actually. You slowly step into the question that I really want to ask next as well. It's all about, how you're working with your band, because you get to meet different people. Obviously, you meet different directors, choreographers, and a lot more people. But then again, I would say the most inclusive crowd for you would be the band you perform with. More like you would treat them as family, a team. Yeah. So, as a leader, as you take Dushyanth separately, and also, as you said, the band separately, how would you, collaborate with these? They have different personalities. Maybe one person is, a little bit open to go out there, but he might be having the best skills.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, for you to differentiate these different talents, their scope, their mentality, the opinions about how they, think about the society, how did you obviously, now even if you don't take specifically leadership, but here you're a leader, here you're the leader of your band. So in this context, how would you...
They like it or not?
Yes, a company. Yes. So how would you, I would say at the end of this conversation, I believe, the audience will understand there will be different kind of people with you around in your team.
Yeah.
And then again, the way you conduct yourself, the way you, differentiate, like you said. So I want to ask you, how would you ideally collaborate with these different personalities, and how would you bring out the best in them along in the best? Because you are the team leader, you are the, somewhat you might be the game changer for them as well.
Okay.
I know it.
Okay. So this is why it was very interesting. So the what happened with Kurumba, right, is that I understood whether I liked it or not, whether I wanted it or not, whether I was willing or not, I would be seen as the leader, because Dushyanth Weeraman is the biggest brand within the band.
Thanks.
Right. But the band is not Dushyanth here, so I had to understand that.
Yeah.
Right. Now I'm creating a full new product with other 5 other boys, right? And who are certainly more talented musicians than I am. So now I am coming to the understanding I need to be able to handle the truth. Right?
Yeah.
So what I did was, I started then the Kurumba with Deshan, who was former Battery Bell member. So we were like, dude, we understand what is going on here, right? I said, okay, you be responsible for the band's musical direction, right? So in terms of handling the people, the musical stuff, you need to do it. And I was like, you be the leader in charge of that, right? Let the world think It's Dushyanth Weeraman's fan because we can't help.
Yeah.
True. They have got to date, Kurumba is Dushyanth Weeraman. If you take Dushyanth Weeraman out, there's no Kurumba.
Yeah.
Right? So we don't go to, take away the truth.
Yeah.
We wanted to make it Dushyanth and Dushyanth's man, but still it is very difficult because it is not seen like that.
Yeah.
So we understood this stuff, and then we went along with it. And that was a very, very successful format. But of course, some people have to go abroad, bands, and these are. So we also understood, now this is our take on Kurumba, but there are different mentalities in the band, right? So if I'm to not to go into details, so it is very important for me to understand whether I was the leader or not, right? Focus is not there. So first what we did was understood, okay, we started off forming the band, right? We had to work for about good 1 year, 1.5 years to understand what is Kurumba, right? And then we were like, oh, this, we are really good at.
Yeah.
This, we got to work on. This, we can't do. And this we can't do because it's completely clashing with Dushyanth Weeraman.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So because we had that. So we understood, okay, this is the area we are good at. So we started competing on that. Now, the band members don't necessarily understand this. But when they are starting the band, right, they're thinking, oh, we can do this and that. Because that becomes the primary the passion about, doing music anyway. So this had to be understood by us as leaders, and then slowly going to those. So at that point, differences is there. They're like, okay, why are we only doing this? Is it because of this? Or the shunt is this, other? So we had the differences, but that was the format. And today, we are very, very, very solid with the wedding industry, right? So Dushyanth Weeraman is still a brand out there, right? Talking to you like this sometimes, an actor, wedding performer, but Kurumba, we are very, very, very solid with the way and the corporate work, right? So because I have seen, there are bands which come and do concerts brilliantly, and they come and do a corporate or a wedding, they just don't know how to work. And there are wedding bands, they come on concerts, it's so that's what you got to do. So how much you're a leader, you got to know what your product is and what your team is, and then be able to go out.
That is super nice to hear that everyone's thoughts about it and finally understanding okay, these are the things that they want to do. Yeah, like you said, it's 1.5 hours. You all were thinking, you were processing what really we need to do. Yeah, right. So, yeah, so in that context, it takes time. But then again, when you look back, I would say when you look back, you're pretty confident about the full time lapse or the timeline that you had to go through certain things, and understanding you're a separate person, your team has a different brand, and also understanding you have a great, team members who might be, really great in their talent more than you might be. Maybe you are learning something from them and they're learning something from them.
Last 7.5 years I've had the band, I've learned so much from everybody else, because I've never been able to play an instrument, right? So, being a very successful artist who can't even play an instrument, and it's really from that point you're coming into being a vocalist and you're listening to all these things that people are playing, and then you understand how they harmonize together, and how they're musical together, and then you go, learning. It's amazing.
It's amazing to learn how to actually. Having this conversation with you even made me think a lot, and I think down the line I'm going to take this point to learn.
Yeah, so that's what I said. Even though I was talking about Kurumba, I wanted to taking your turn, how that happened there.
I think that worked well, because I was thinking right here sitting in this place of, I need to think about this like this way.
Yeah.
All right, so we've actually come down the line for beginning this conversation to the very last question that I want to put you up with. And so it's actually like some final message you love to give to your audience, maybe who's watching this podcast episode, because it's mostly the youth in Sri Lanka who will be watching this, who are like the future of Sri Lanka, I would say. So they might be in confusion as to what they are doing right now in terms of personal branding, in terms of leadership. And now when you're talking about these things, they might be having a question mark as well. Okay, all this time what am I doing? Okay, all this time I'm thinking about building my personal brand, and that's not what I really need to do. So if there's like one final message, ideally you can tell anything.
Okay.
Not based on personal branding or leadership, but if you can inculcate in that school.
Yeah.
But anything that you want to tell to the audience.
Yeah. So I would say, I mean, as of now, I don't think no one can say anything for sure.
Yeah.
Right? Life is uncertain. It's nice if we can have control, right? But it's difficult, right? What is important is to understand to live now, right? You learn about living in the past or understanding the future. But if all this what you're doing is not to live now and but to worry about how we can be better and all that, we might be always missing out your life completely, right?
Yes.
So it's important that you figure out how to be happy, be leaders, be personal brands or whatever. But it's a very difficult thing for me to make to just say something like that, because it's very normal. Like the reality is, how much you want to create your personal brand, become a leader, be successful, all that, if you are going to let your life go by, right, chasing all that, end of the day, you will still not be happy, right? And I'm not trying to say that life is about being happy. Also not that, right? But try to figure out what's best for you now and not worry too much about it, because it's wild out there. And what I know for sure is, I don't know nothing for sure. Right? What I know for sure is that I know nothing for sure. So I'm always ready to seek, and I'm looking out for great teachings. I'm trying to figure out what Buddha said, what Jesus said, or whatever, all that, and also the real essence of what is to be real. And so I would like to enjoy the moment, have a coffee, get some food without if it's not, don't stress on yourself too much. If things are going wrong, it's gonna be all right, because that's gonna, honestly, if things are brilliant, that's gonna
You need to have that once in a while.
You can have your peaks. How much of peaks you had, you're gonna come to a shadow point, because it's gonna come down. Life is about that. That's what I told you about my turning points. My life is really amazing. I thought I'm going to do something brilliant and I'm going to do my career, but I came to the pinnacle of mine. I was very lonely. And how much you like it. This is a cycle. So, try to live today.
I think once you live in the moment,
but don't be idle. Don't be idle.
Yes, that's true. So I think we've come to the very end of this podcast episode as well, and a lot of food for thought from Mr. Weeraman, Dushyanth, I would say. So I think just like me, you all had certain points to think through as well with whatever he told, his experiences. It might not be your ideal context, but then again, when you inculcate it to your own context, I think it sends a lot. It's all about teaching, learnings, a whole process, a life cycle. You will have peaks, you will have shallow moments in your life.
I'll just add something, right? Something very important to understand what I said about living the moment is having awareness, right? Awareness is key. Exactly. Right? To any exercises or meditation or whatever, just to figure out, to be aware of where you are, what you're doing, whom you're with, where you're going, where you're coming from. Understand to the level where awareness is the tool for you to know what is now and what is going to be in the future. And something else, and more than anything, while you're being aware, the most important thing is to have your attitude. Whether it's a bad situation or a good situation, happy or sad, or whichever your emotion is, have an attitude where it's, I'm not going to use the word positive, have an attitude where you feel like it's still going to be all right.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's high or whether it's low, it's still going to be all right. It's all in, you know, it's in the moment. Yeah, so attitude, and be aware of your attitude, have that going back and forth. It's my attitude, and it's being aware of that, you know. Have that going on, you'll do great in life.
All right, I think I don't need to do a closing. It's an absolute wonderful closing. So I think like attitude really takes you a long way, and like with the call concept of this podcast series, like personal branding and leadership, you really need to have that attitude part. So that's why I said he gave the proper closing. So with that, we've come to the end of the 9th episode of this podcast series with AIESEC in Sri Lanka and IFS. So I want to thank Mr. Dushyanth Weeraman for joining us today, giving your time for us, and also for the youth who will listen to this for sure and, you know, think through in whatever they need to do in their lives. And also I need to thank IFS for providing us with this amazing opportunity and partnering up with us in providing all these logistics and this moment today and for all the podcast episodes we've conducted. So hope you will enjoy this podcast episode, and looking forward to seeing you all once again with an amazing podcast episode in our future days. So see you all. Thank you. With that, we've come to the very end of the 9th episode of the podcast series. And while thanking Mr. Dushyanth Weeraman for being an amazing individual, I want to thank our amazing audience for staying with us and tune in for much more amazing podcast episodes. And finally, I'd like to thank IFS for being a constant support system throughout these episodes. So thank you and stay tuned.